Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something that made me pause and reevaluate a lot
Hmm.
about, what truly drives success.
Hmm.
We tend to celebrate natural talent, don't we? We often think it's the main thing.
Absolutely. It's the story we tell ourselves.
But what if that's only part of the picture? Or maybe even less important than we think? We've been diving into some really compelling work here, specifically Angela Duckworth's book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance.
It's a groundbreaking book, really.
Totally. And our mission for you in this deep dive is basically to unpack her core idea that incredible achievement isn't just about having talent, it's this powerful mix of, well, sustained passion and just relentless perseverance, what she calls grit.
That combination is key. Passion and perseverance.
Exactly. So we're going to pull out the most important nuggets, some surprising facts, and, practical takeaways. We want to help you understand how grit works and maybe more importantly, how it can actually be developed.
Because that's the hopeful part, right?
But it can be developed. Right. We'll look at where the idea even came from, some surprising math behind it, the 4 key psychological bits that make it up.
The building blocks.
Yeah, the building blocks. And we'll look at some fascinating examples, West Point cadets, Pulitzer winners, and really tackle this talent myth. Okay, let's get into it.
Well, what's so interesting, I think, is how Duckworth starts. It flips the script right away.
How so?
Well, she didn't start her work in a psychology lab, like you might expect. She actually began as a teacher in a New York City public school.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and she noticed something profound, really. Her highest performing students. They weren't always the ones with the top IQ scores or what looked like natural ability.
So the smartest kids weren't always the ones acing everything long term.
Exactly. And that observation, rooted in just her day-to-day experience, that planted the seeds for all her later research into what separates high achievers. It gives this really human entry point into some deep science.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then, what really grabbed me next was how she managed to boil this big idea down into something almost mathematical.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly simple.
The formulas, you mean?
Yes. She gives us these 2 equations, talent times effort equals skill. Okay, makes sense.
Right. Talent gets you started, effort builds the skill.
But then the next one, skill times effort equals achievement.
Effort again.
Exactly. So what does that mean? The big insight here, and it just sort of clicks when you see it laid out, is that effort counts twice.
I see. Yeah.
Talent might give you a head start, maybe a natural knack for something, but it's the consistent, sustained effort that really compounds over time. That's what leads to mastery and, actual results you can see.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it means success isn't just about being, smart or gifted from the start.
Yeah.
It's about what you do with whatever talent you have and how relentlessly you apply yourself, which I think raises a really important question. Well, if effort is so critical, what exactly is this grit she talks about? Is it just pure willpower, or is it something more complex that we can actually understand and maybe build?
That's a great question. And yeah, it's definitely more nuanced than just willpower. Duckworth breaks grit down into 4 key psychological assets. Think of them like building blocks.
Okay.
And understanding these is really crucial if you want to cultivate it yourself. The first one, maybe the foundation, is interest.
Interest, okay.
She explains that grit really starts with finding and then nurturing a genuine passion for something. And it's usually not like a lightning bolt moment,
Right, not love at first sight.
Exactly. It's often more of a slow burn, something that grows over years through trying things out, being curious, exploring. Without that deep interest, that spark, the sheer effort required, the grind, will just lead to burnout eventually.
That's a really good point about the slow burn. People feel this pressure to find the passion instantly, but she suggests it's more like a discovery process. Okay, so you find or develop this interest. What's the next block? Is it just like putting in the hours?
Well, yes and no. The second is practice.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is key, it's not just showing up or clocking hours. It means engaging in deliberate practice.
Deliberate. What does that mean exactly?
It means focused, consistent work aimed specifically at improving. Pushing yourself just beyond your current comfort zone, really analyzing your mistakes, and actively refining your craft every single day.
Okay. So it's purposeful.
Yeah. Like she says, gritty people do more deliberate practice and experience more improvement over time. Think about learning guitar. You can strum chords mindlessly for hours. Or you can focus specifically on that tricky transition you keep messing up. That's deliberate practice.
That distinction is huge. It's a difference between activity and progress. Okay, so we have interest driving deliberate practice. What keeps you going when that practice gets really, really hard?
Good question. That brings us to the third pillar, purpose.
Purpose, like a higher calling.
Sort of. It's about aligning your passion, your work, with something larger than yourself. A sense that what you're doing has meaning not just for you, but contributes somehow, maybe to your community or the world.
Okay, so it connects your individual effort to something bigger.
Exactly. And that larger purpose acts like fuel,
Yeah.
especially during tough times, setbacks, or those long plateaus where you feel like you're not improving. It's the why that goes beyond just personal gain.
Interest, practice, purpose. That's a powerful trio. What's the fourth?
The fourth is hope. But again, she defines it quite specifically. It's not just wishful thinking like, oh, I hope things work out.
Right, not passive hope.
No, it's the active belief that you can persevere, that your own efforts can overcome obstacles and make things better. She really emphasizes that this kind of hope is a mindset, she calls it optimistic perseverance, and it can be trained, almost like a muscle.
Wow. Okay, so interest sparks it, practice builds skill, purpose sustains it, and hope keeps you believing you can get there through effort.
You got it. And what's really powerful isn't just listing them, but seeing how they connect, right? They feed into each other. Like you need the interest to do the hard practice, and the purpose helps when interest dips, and hope underlies the whole thing.
It's a really compelling framework, and she didn't just theorize about this, right? She tried to measure it.
Exactly. She developed the grit scale. It's basically a questionnaire designed to measure how passionate and perseverant someone is towards their long-term goals.
And what did she find using that scale?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting and honestly challenges a lot of common assumptions. While we tend to celebrate natural talent, it's often easy to spot a cage. The grit scale has actually proven to be a better predictor of success in really demanding situations.
Better than talent.
In many cases, yes. Things like getting through the intense Beast Barracks training at West Point or sticking with challenging academic programs, even predicting who advances further in things like the National Spelling Bee. Grit scores often predicted success better than IQ or talent measures.
Wow. That directly confronts the talent myth, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that a bit more. Society often seems to worship natural ability, right? We have this idea that the truly gifted will just automatically rise to the top.
Yeah, like it's preordained.
But Duckworth really dismantles this with some powerful evidence. She shows that many incredibly talented people actually fail. And why? Often precisely because they lack the resilience, the grit, to keep going when things inevitably stop being easy for them.
Because they haven't had to build that muscle, maybe.
Exactly. They're so used to things coming naturally that when they hit a real wall, they don't have the ingrained habit of persistent effort. And conversely, she points to people who might have started with, say, average talent, but through sheer determination, through that grit, they end up outperforming their supposedly more gifted peers.
That's incredibly motivating, actually.
It really is. Think about someone like Will Smith. He's talked about this. He said something like, he might not be the most talented actor, but he will not be at work. He used a treadmill analogy. He'll either beat you or die trying. That, Duckworth says, is grit in action.
That relentless effort.
Yeah. Or another great story she tells is about Pete Carroll, the famous football coach.
Seahawks coach for a long time.
Right. His whole philosophy of always compete. It wasn't just about winning the game on Sunday. It was about showing up every single day, practice, meetings, everything, and competing against your own limits, giving full effort constantly, whether you won or lost the last game. He believed that consistent grind builds strength over the long haul.
So competition as a form of deliberate practice, almost.
Kinda, yeah. And she also looks at journalism. Jeff Gettleman, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, describes spending years doing really unglamorous assignments, the stuff nobody else wanted.
Paying his dues.
Totally. But he said that's what built the skills and the resilience he needed later for dangerous war reporting. And it was the love of the work itself, that interest and purpose, that kept him going when there was zero recognition in sight.
It wasn't about the immediate reward.
Not at all. And the examples go on. West Point cadets, enduring Beast Barracks, spelling bee kids, studying obsessively for years, ultra-marathon runners pushing through incredible pain, entrepreneurs who failed multiple times before hitting success.
Across totally different fields.
Right. And the common thread isn't that they never failed. It's that they refused to quit after failing. They got back up. Now, thinking about these stories, they're super inspiring, right? They show persistence wins. But do you think Duckworth fully accounts for those cases, maybe rarer, of seemingly effortless genius, where talent just seems off the charts? Or is her point that even they need grit eventually?
That's a really thoughtful question. I think her argument isn't that talent doesn't exist or doesn't matter at all. It clearly gives some people an advantage. But her core point is that talent alone is insufficient for sustained, high-level achievement. Even the most naturally gifted individuals will eventually hit challenges that exceed their innate abilities. And that's the exact moment when grit, that learned perseverance, that drive, becomes the crucial factor. So yeah, even for the so-called natural genius, grit becomes essential to reach true mastery and especially to endure at the peak.
That makes sense. Talent opens the door, maybe, but grit gets you through the whole house.
Nicely put. And taking a step back, this also shines a light on how important our environment is. Duckworth really touches on the role of culture.
Ah, yeah, that's a big piece too.
It really is. She shows how the environment you're in, whether it's a demanding place like West Point, a sports team with a certain ethos, company culture, even your family, it can either nurture grit by valuing resilience and perseverance, or it can actually erode it, maybe by only rewarding quick, easy wins, or by not tolerating failure as a learning opportunity. She makes a strong case that surrounding yourself with gritty people naturally makes you gritty.
Like it's contagious.
Yeah, exactly. Culture is contagious. If everyone around you pushes through difficulties, it becomes the norm. It normalizes that effort, that persistence.
That really resonates. And it connects to other psychological research too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It links beautifully with Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset.
Explain that connection quickly.
Sure. People with a growth mindset believe their abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with a fixed mindset think ability is innate. You either have it or you don't.
Okay.
So those with a growth mindset are far more likely to show grit. Why? Because if you believe you can improve through effort, then failure isn't a verdict on who you are. It's just feedback. It tells you what you need to work on next.
So failure becomes information, not condemnation.
Precisely. That mindset shift is fundamental to being able to persevere through setbacks, which is the heart of grit.
Okay, so this all sounds great. Grit is crucial. It can be developed. Mindset matters. So the big question for everyone listening is probably, how do I actually develop more grit?
Right, the practical application.
Yeah. And Duckworth offers some really concrete advice. One thing is to deliberately stick with commitments longer than feels comfortable sometimes. Don't bail at the first sign of difficulty or boredom.
Lean into the discomfort a bit.
Exactly. Seek out challenges that scare you just a little. And, going back to that pillar, practice daily with intention. Make it deliberate.
Consistency is key.
For sure. Also, setting those long-term goals is important, but then breaking them down into smaller, manageable, actionable steps you can tackle today or this week.
Makes the mountain seem less daunting.
Right. And this one really hit me. Learn to rest when you're tired, not quit.
Ooh, that's a powerful distinction. Rest is part of the process. Quitting ends it.
Totally. And it's okay to rest. It's necessary, actually. She also shares a bit about her own journey, which I found quite revealing.
Yeah, how so?
Well, she talks about her own career path from consulting, then to teaching, then graduate school, then becoming a researcher. For her, grit wasn't about rigidly sticking to one specific job forever. Instead, it was about staying committed to her deeper, overarching mission, which was understanding human potential and how to help people achieve it. So sometimes, strategically quitting a path that no longer serves that bigger goal is actually the gritty thing to do.
That adds some important nuance. It's not about blind persistence in the wrong direction.
Exactly. But when you do find the right pursuit, the one aligned with your interest and purpose, then grit means sticking with it through the inevitable years of plateaus, failures, and uncertainty. It's also interesting how she notes grit can look different or develop differently at various ages.
Right. Kids, for example, often need more external structures, maybe role models, encouragement from parents or teachers to stick with things like music lessons or sports.
Yeah, the follow-through often needs support.
Whereas adults generally have to cultivate more of that internal motivation, that self-discipline. It reminds me of the research on parenting styles. She mentions that combination of being warm and supportive, but also having high expectations, tends to foster grittier kids.
So support plus challenge.
Seems to be a winning formula.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive into grit really mean for you listening right now? I think it leaves us with this incredibly empowering idea.
What's that?
That grit isn't some magical trait you're born with or without. It's a journey. It's built over time. Every single day you choose to put in that deliberate effort towards something meaningful. You're taking another step. You're building that muscle. Honestly, it challenged me personally to look at my own goals and ask, do I really have both the passion and the perseverance for the things I say I want?
That's a tough question to ask yourself.
It is. But if the answer is yes, then the path forward, according to Duckworth, is simple, though definitely not easy. Keep showing up. Keep doing that deliberate practice. Keep pushing just a bit past the point where most people would stop. Talent might get you to the starting line, maybe even give you a head start. But grit, that's what determines who finishes the race. Extraordinary success isn't reserved for a chosen few. It really seems available to anyone willing to commit, to endure, and just persist for the long haul.
Which leads to, perhaps, a final thought for you to chew on. Think about something meaningful in your own life right now. Is there a pursuit, a project, a goal where you're feeling tempted to give up, maybe precisely because it's getting difficult?
We all have those moments.
We do. So, consider this. Could embracing these principles of grit really trying to cultivate deeper interest, committing to that deliberate practice, connecting to a larger purpose, and actively fostering that hopeful belief that your efforts matter, could that be the very thing that unlocks extraordinary achievement for you? Not because you started out as the most talented person in the room, but simply because you refused to quit when things got hard.